Hello and welcome to Busy Pro Fast Wellness with me, Alan Welch. The episode that you are about to hear is really an extension of the interview that I did last week with Simon Watts. I decided to cut this up into two sections because of content and also for time reasons. So this week we delve into Simon's golden tip, and that's it really. I hope that you enjoy this week's episode. That was all very interesting, fantastic, to give us all that information about your journey. Talking about the golden tip now, do you have any advice that you can impart to the listeners here that could benefit them, or any insights that you might have?
A thing that I have recently got into a bit, I think rather late in the day, is sleeping. I don't know what I was doing before. I think I was in a competition with myself to sleep as little as possible, even if it meant just staying awake for the hell of it. Somehow thought I was winning by sleeping less. I suppose it's like as your knowledge improves. So I think it's become more in the social sphere, isn't it?
Yeah.
Value of sleep, the fact that you can't catch up with sleep. So like a lot of people, and I used to think it's, well, if you don't sleep Tuesday and Wednesday and then you spend Sunday in bed, it's evens. But that's apparently missing sleep, I've heard, is just like getting punched in the head. You can't unpunch yourself.
Yeah, it's interesting that, because I didn't know anything about it until pretty recently, in the last year myself. And it's lots of people online, or gurus, or books that you read, articles, seem to harken on about the value of sleep, which is contrary to me at the moment, because I'm trying to get up extremely early. And so I'm having problems in the sense I'm not getting to bed early enough to compensate for my earlier starts. So, that's what I need to work on. But can you give us any golden nuggets? What are your habits at the moment?
Well, basically, I don't have a TV.
Great.
So I tended to listen to podcasts, which I think helps a bit, and so to get into bed, especially when these colder temperatures. But I kind of upgraded my technology, and I started off getting like a smartwatch, but quite a cheap, like a basic one, which is fine. And then that was kind of telling me how much I was sleeping, giving me a basic idea. But then at Christmas, someone bought me it's like a Whoop, which is a more advanced product.
Yeah.
And then what that has been telling me, and it's harassing me, it was telling me that I needed to go to bed at 8 o'clock. And it's AI you can interrogate. And I said, well, look, 10 hours, that's ridiculous. And he said, oh yeah, but the problem is you're in sleep deficit. You're not getting enough regenerative sleep.
Yeah.
And this is the sort of, the eye opener. And you can be in bed for 8 hours, but that doesn't mean you're getting the sleep that you need. So for whatever reason, I'm only getting half the actual kind of deep sleep or the regenerative sleep. So what the app does is it says, right, you should get 30% in 8 hours, but you've only got 8%. So you need to be in bed a lot longer.
It sounds like your circadian rhythm is all over the shop at the moment. Because if you are in bed for 8 hours, I would have thought, I know what you just said and I understand that, but you're still probably going to get 6 hours. But I know that there are different sort of stages of sleep, aren't there? So
there's three. I mean, the app is pretty comprehensive and it can show you through the night. So, what you're doing is you're getting, for whatever reason, it might be noise, it might be light, that you're a bit stressed.
Right.
But, there's kind of no getting away from it. And, I think I said to you that, so last night I kind of, went for it a bit. I restricted my caffeine intake. during the day. So I just had one coffee quite early, went to bed pretty, I didn't, drink any alcohol, shut the doors properly. And yeah, I think I slept from like 11 till 6 straight through.
Brilliant.
And I really noticed it.
Yeah, yeah,
Like today, I felt quite a lot better
yeah. Good.
from getting a bit more sleep. So, I think that, it can depend a bit on the individual. Some people are lucky. I
Yeah.
think like Margaret Thatcher, allegedly, she only needed 4 hours sleep. But that's because apparently some people can get this deep sleep or this
Yeah.
REM sleep in greater amounts.
Yeah, I think
And
I'm probably quite lucky because I tend to probably only spend about 6 hours in the bed itself, and I've looked at my smartwatch, and it does say I get 6.5 hours sleep, and I seem to function okay. But I don't know what the long-term adverse effects might be of having fewer hours in bed.
well, there's a couple of, I think I mentioned there's a statistic. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's along the lines of if you have two bad nights sleep a week,
You're
so
right.
you sleep for you get 6 hours instead of 8 hours, that classes you as a shift worker. And shift workers live on average between 5 and 7 years less than
Right. Okay.
non-shift workers.
Okay. Oof.
So this sort of sleep deprivation or whatever I think it has some pretty serious over the medium term. It has some quite serious consequences,
Yeah.
and obviously, people in the police or health workers and stuff,
They have
I
no
think
choice.
suffer
Yeah.
a lot
I'm sure they
with.
do. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Night workers, as you say.
yeah.
And do you not think it's possible? I don't know. You need to read the science or the studies on this. But if you are having fewer hours at night, compensating by having a siesta during the day or having one of those power naps, which I do from time to time, and they do seem to sort me out. Or maybe that's just my sense of hope that it's sorting me out. But I do feel a lot better because during the day, if I've only got, if I've got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, which I have done on many occasions recently, during the day, I will feel it around about 3. After lunch, half 3, 4 o'clock, I'm absolutely desperate to hit the sack. And then I'll have 20 minutes and then I feel good again. That power nap is just brilliant. It seems to sort me out. I don't know if that really is. Maybe I'm one of those shift workers. I will have those 5, 7, 10 years less than the who knows? We won't know until that time arrives. But it is definitely food for thought, isn't it? Though. So
Yeah, and this thing about if I notice like at Christmas I'm back in the UK, so you're sort of out of your normal comfort zone, and if I'm not, I really crave sugar and high fat foods.
okay.
And I've heard that these things is definitely the case. If you don't sleep well enough, your body immediately says, right, you need some energy because
Oh,
you've not slept. So go out and eat a donut or something,
oh, I see.
and it
Interesting.
gives you these cravings
Oh gosh,
to
that would
try and
explain.
replace the sleep with
Yeah.
high energy foods.
That would explain a couple of days ago. It wasn't so much for sugar, but I didn't have an appetite a couple of days ago. I was eating like a horse, much more than I would normally. I mean, I eat well anyway, but I'm a massive fan of dark 100% chocolate, and I was eating so much of that. And my wife makes these amazing pies, which are very healthy. No sugar in them at all, or there is so small, like a few grains. But yeah, you get a taste. You can modify your taste, I think, in terms of that. But anyway, we're veering off into nutrition a bit, which is probably not the aim. So, do you have a routine for getting to bed? Because my problem is I really find it hard to get to bed early. The idea of going to bed at 10 o'clock or even 11 o'clock is a stretch for me.
Um, yeah, I think it's in part of not having a television. I've kind of cut out now going to bars in the evening.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of all right. I mean, boredom is it's a great driver. Um,
Boredom's a luxury. It's an
It
absolute
is,
luxury.
yeah. And also, I think, another thing that apparently helps, and I do this, is having saunas.
Ah,
So this is one of the things that apparently helps you sleep. So at the moment, it's like, okay, I really try to get to bed at 10 o'clock. I treat myself to a double hot water bottle experience. Um, Put on a bit of a podcast, but you have
yeah,
to be careful, that you set with a timer
yeah,
and like your phone maybe like in a drawer or
yeah,
something, because I put it on a like an earpiece
yeah.
because
Bluetooth.
and what loads of people do, the thing's running, so it keeps them kind of half awake all night.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's true. And I've noticed that's the difference because I read a lot about health, etc. And they do say that obviously don't get near your phone for the last hour of the evening. And I'm not quite as religious about that, but I have been going to bed and not taking my phone or anything at all. And whereas I used to listen to podcasts late, and I download them and have the Bluetooth in and listen to them that way. I thought it would help me to sleep sometimes, but I just find that in fact it's best not to have anything at all because
Yeah, I think
you're naturally quite tired at that point. Well, for me, if I've been sitting there listening to something, oh, we don't watch much TV, but we do watch TV from time to time, and you are genuinely zonked out at that,
yeah.
by
I mean, I
midnight.
think the better, if I wanted to take it up a notch, yeah, it would be to listen to a podcast or read a book in a different room to where you're sleeping,
Yeah,
and then move from, your lounge or whatever,
yeah,
and then the bedroom is just like where you
yeah.
sleep.
In an ideal world, what you just said makes perfect sense, but we don't want to become too pious, too wholesome in our in our existences. Well, we can strive to be that way, and it seems like I'm contradicting lots of the messages of this very podcast, but I think it's all about moderation, isn't it? And
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I
good.
mean, as I say, I mean, my kind of like moderation is that over the last however many years, it's been an averagely healthy at best, if you know what I mean. So I think I've got some space now to live a bit more healthily. But
Yeah.
I think young people nowadays live incredibly because they've got all the power of the internet. They've got the all the knowledge now about diet and recovery and sleeping,
Yeah,
and moderation.
one section, but if you look at the obesity epidemic, which has certainly hit the Western world, notably the UK and the US, those countries, I mean, less so here in Spain, that certainly, despite all that extra information at their fingertips, they're still not necessarily following it because of just poor education, I think. And this, proliferation of junk food, which all the time, and that's tending to filter in here, even into Spain. You see, we were talking about that earlier on today about the fast food chains springing up all over the centre of Valencia. So
Hmm.
there are issues there. Even though the knowledge is there at their disposal, are they accessing that knowledge? I don't know. I'm not so sure. I think people are just naturally leading a healthier lifestyles here because of education, and they just eat better. Their nutrition is just naturally
Yeah.
better than it is with all the processed food and additives that are added to the diets, particularly in the United States, but also in the UK as well. And you came out with a stat today which absolutely amazed me. Scotland. Can
Oh,
you?
what the
Yeah.
the most overweight children in the world.
No, we're children of the world. You said there was a battle between Scotland and Mexico. Oh,
Yeah,
God.
I think Scotland's got back in the lead. I think, and Mexico, I think, was the first country to introduce like a sugar tax.
Ah.
It was the first country in the world, or it was either a fat tax. I think they maybe called it a sugar tax because, like, I think a fat tax is kind of insulting. It
Yeah, of
somehow
course.
sounds worse than a sugar tax, doesn't it? It's like, yeah, fat people are going to have to pay more. But you say, oh, if you've got a sweet tooth, you've got to
Yeah,
pay a bit more tax.
yeah, that sounds better, definitely. Yeah,
Mm-mm.
euphemism for the same thing. But great. Anyway, I feel that you touched upon it earlier on about the importance of having that routine before bed and getting into that routine. That's something which I definitely need to work at. I've mentioned it to other people that I'm not great at that,
Yeah,
so
I
that's
mean,
where I fall short for sure.
this is one of the scores that I get from my big brother that is telling me what to do. And one of the things it gives me is sleep consistency.
Okay,
It's one of the data points.
right.
And yeah, my sleep consistency is 84%. So that means I'm roughly getting into bed about the same time.
Okay, all right, that's good. What are you attempting to get in bed? What time are you looking at now?
About 10 is my target. Get to sleep by 11.
Okay,
Um,
that sounds reasonable. All right, Simon, that was really interesting, and thank you so much for sharing all of your experiences, particularly with your diagnosis and then through the operation. Thanks for that candor on your part. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the pod.
yeah, it's mutual.
Good.
Mutual pleasure zone.
Okay, good. And anyway, I wish you well
See you
and
soon at the beach.
see you soon at the beach. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Brilliant. Thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah,
See you.
bye.